Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Clues, Cues and Reviews, and today the review I've been waiting for quite a while, Dragon Ball Super. So this is a monthly manga release that covers the new part of the Dragon Ball universe. It's something I've really wanted to do for a while, but I wanted to get a little bit ahead, get a few chapters out before really going about reviewing it. So before going into it, getting the formalities out the way, thank you for everybody that is watching my videos. Thank you for all those that are commenting, giving their thoughts, what they like, what they don't like, any suggestions for improvement. So please continue to do that. As always, like if it's something you're enjoying, something you want me to carry on doing. Dislike with a thumbs down if something you don't like what I'm doing, but suggest how we can improve. And importantly, please show your support by continue watching and subscribing. I'm going to leave an annotation in one of these sections and check it out. Anyway, without further ado, let's move on to the actual. So, in summary, the Dragon Ball Super manga has come out with 8 chapters so far. 8th, as of the 30th of January 2016 is the most recent release. I know there's been a weekly Dragon Ball Super anime, but this one is more to do specifically with the actual manga. Now, effectively, in summary, chapters 1 to 4 really cover the Battle of Gods. 5 touches on the Battle of Frieza and it's to do with training. 6 is introduction of another character. 7 or 8 is a preparation for another arc. But I'll go into more further details in my point breakdown. Look out for that now. So point number 1. So point number 1 covers the first 4 chapters of basically Dragon Ball Super, which is more or less a rendition or a different way of looking at the Battle of Gods. It's a lot more of a compact version of it, and it really just covers the 4 chapters. So pretty much the same quite key components are there. So the fact that God Beerus is woken up, he goes to see Goku, he beats him initially, then goes to Earth because he wants to find the Super Saiyan God. So all that side of it's still there. The battle between Goku and Beerus in God mode is still there. That's all in there like normal. And the key message here for future points I'm going to do, the idea of parallel universes, there being 12 in total and them being in universe 7. Now this is where it goes different. So a few key differences that we notice in this one. Bulma's party is on a cruise ship now rather than like on the island or where they were staying. The whole scene of the fight with Boo, where Boo ate the last pudding, is missed or skipped, but the aftermath is shown, where he's basically Beerus is beating up people such as Gotenks and spanking him and really just causing a mess. The whole scene where Vegeta reminisces that he recognizes the name and he gets scared is there, and in the mention the fact that he's a god. The scene where there's that iconical slap scene now where the whole "what did you do to my Bulma?" Vegeta goes crazy is in there, but it's shown in a slightly different light. So Vegeta still goes in there, still goes in for the kill, tries his best. He doesn't do as much damage as it shows in the movie, but nonetheless he gets a few licks in. The same result, he gets beat. The other thing really that's a bit different is the battle still happens between Goku and Beerus, but in the actual movie it's a lot closer. Even though Beerus isn't trying 100%, this isn't as close. So he does try, does get a few things in, but it shows potential. So it shows that Goku himself knows by the feeling of his ability that he has room for improvement. So that pretty much is the first point about slight differences. There is also another character that's introduced that's not quite in the movie. I'll talk about that in a future point. Point number 2. So this is to do with chapter 5 and 6 mainly. So what 5 and 6 initially starts off with is with the training of Goku and Vegeta on the planet where Whis and Beerus is. Much like in the Resurrection of F movie. However, they kind of glaze over the whole movie. It kind of says, oh yeah, they've trained over here, they've got a new ability, and they use that to defeat Vegeta. They also rename the Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan mode, I guess, and just call it Super Saiyan Blue because that's the colour of their hair. An interesting point to bear in mind, there's a bit of confusion with the whole Super Saiyan God and the Super Saiyan mode. The way I like to look at it is Super Saiyan God is effectively like the base level, you could say. It's the God mode basically, and Super Saiyan God mode with the blue hair is like going Super Saiyan. I could imagine if there was other steps that would become like Super Saiyan 2, and if they do go that direction, that's what happens. What then happens is now they've officially introduced the character that is Champa, the twin brother of Beerus, and they have an ongoing rivalry. He's also a god, and he also has his own teacher, his own master, who happens to be Whis', I believe, older sister, and supposed to be stronger than Whis. Whis does say that it has been 1,000 years since he got taught how to fight, so that the difference in their power might be quite similar. We also find out one of the reasons why they're quite heated. It does a flashback fight of something that Whis' sister instigated, where they're fighting over cake and the puff fruit, and they were about to blow up the universe, at which Whis and his sister interrupted, knocked them both unconscious, and said find another way to compete, which leads into part of chapter 5, which is about them competing over food. What this then does is it prompts a conversation about competition. So what happens is that the food itself is like ramen basically, and there's another kind of boiled egg from Whis' universe, Champa's universe, which is universe 6. We are also introduced to the idea of the parallel universes, where there's 12 universes and each of them have a close pairing: 1 and 12, 2 and 11, 3 and 10, 4 and 9, and so on and so forth. And the closest pairing to number 7 would be 6, which is why this is happening. They find out that Earth is full of delicious foods. Champa asks about what his Earth is like, and it turns out his Earth has been destroyed by war, which prompts the next part, which is to do with competition for Earth. Point number 3, the competition for Earth. Effectively, the winner between Universe 6 and Universe 7 will get to decide where Universe 7's Earth is going to be. So the question is asked, how is it possible that you could just move it? It turns out there's a type of Dragon Ball that's not like the Namek Ball. It's actually bigger than the planet size. They're called Wish Balls, and they have basically the ability to grant any wish, and the Namek Balls effectively were designed based on a piece of that. Now, the battle is decided based on a 5v5 team battle. 5 people from Universe 6, 5 people from Universe 7, and it's going to be one battle till the leader is has lost. And basically, you go through the motions of finding out who potentially is going to fight. So Goku and Vegeta say, yeah, I'll definitely want to fight. And then they nominate Boo, they nominate Piccolo, and they go, oh, we could also nominate Gohan. And this is Vegeta saying this, he goes, he's got the strongest latent ability among all the Saiyans, among everybody in the Z universe and the Z fighters. But Goku kind of says, look, he's become a bit of a bookworm, he's even lost his gi, he's not really any fighting shape. It gets them to worry a little bit, but this is where Beerus interrupts and says, oh, don't worry about the 5th person on your team, I'll pick somebody for that. When I mentioned that he's talking to Goku, no, I mentioned in the fight between us that you are the 2nd strongest person I fought. The first strongest person I fought will be the person that will be your 5th member. So it essentially is the introduction to the battle versus 6 universes, but the 7th universe, for the result being what's going to happen with Earth. So that is point number 3. Point number 4. Point number 4 is really all about preparation for the tournament. What effectively happens is, you could say this preparation is done in a few different locations, a few different parts. So one of the interesting key points for point number 4 is the way Goku and Vegeta train. So they're in a newly formed hyperbolic time chamber, a place where they can spend 3 days at least in there to train. So they spend 3 years of training, interestingly enough, training together for once, 1v1, spending 3 years Super Saiyan Blue mode, everything in there. So you can only imagine how powerful they can be. Because if you think about it, back to the Dragon Ball Z series, Goku went in with Gohan, Vegeta went in with Trunks, and they became so powerful. Imagine the potential of the 2 strongest Saiyans that we are aware of in our universe, Universe 7, basically going at it for 3 years straight. So the potential outcome of this, we can have to wait and see, but I'll mention a bit of that in point number 5. Okay, so that's part 1 of what we know so far. Another thing that does actually happen is Bulma creates a Dragon Ball radar, but we can't see anything on there, which kind of prompts them to think we need to go to the center of this universe to find out what happens. So they get in contact and they're introduced to another character, Bulma's older sister, where they want to find out more about getting to the center of the universe, and they want to borrow a spaceship. Incidentally, the person that they call is Jacko, who's introduced in the actual the Resurrection of F movie, and he's a galactic spaceman. For those who don't know much about Jacko, who haven't seen obviously any of the movies, please watch them. But he was based on a one-shot that the Akira Toriyama did on a slightly kind of prequelish type of storyline, and he's now a recurring character in the ongoing season. So they actually go to see a guy called Zuno-sama, who's meant to know. He's like meant to be a person of all knowledge, like a person who has everything knowledge-wise. It's funny, he's like a fat sumo-looking dude, and basically you have to kiss him on the cheek and you get wishes, and they decide how many wishes you're eligible for. So with the wishes, some of them being wasted, the only thing they do get to actually find out is much about the Super Dragon Balls, the super that gives wishes. So what they find out was there was a Dragon Ball called a dragon god who created 7 Super Dragon Balls, and he split them over Universe 6 and Universe 7. So basically, with Champa having 6 of them, the 7th one is actually somewhere around. So this explains why when we were introduced to him early in the series, the last few chapters, what he was doing in the 7th universe, he was collecting those that were split in that side of the universe, I guess. What we also find out in this chapter, or this part of the process, is that they're ready to now make their move and go on. So they start traveling to the tournament. But that is point 4. Point number 5. So point number 5, the tournament begins. We're introduced to a few characters, and we're really getting into the nitty gritty of it, I guess. So effectively, what happens is Beerus finds out what Bulma found out about Champa, I should say, stealing the Dragon Ball. So he's not very happy about it, which he confronts him when he gets to the arena. The arena had obviously been finished by now, and there's a conversation between Whis' sister and Champa saying they've got a few Saiyans. I think we should use ours. And he goes, don't worry, we will, basically. And effectively, they start getting introduced. So the 5th member of Universe 7's team is a guy called Monaco, and he looks very deceivingly weak. However, like they say, looks can be deceiving. He's known, or his epithet is basically the one with great potential, or Ponta, and Monaco basically says, no, it means the one with the great nipples, because when you look at him, he's a little short alien with just big nipples. They're just weird. But in any case, we get introduced to the 5th member. At the same time, we also get introduced to the Universe 6's kind of characters, and basically one of them looks like Frieza, one of them looks like Cooler. We have a big polar bear, we have a cyborg android type of character, and one that looks like a Saiyan. This later gets confirmed in chapter 8, where he basically says, yes, I'm a Saiyan, but he's from in his universe, the Saiyans didn't take over planet Plant, they didn't go under Frieza, and obviously didn't get destroyed. So effectively they live in the original planet called Planet Salad, and they've got the old kind of way of dressing. At which point Vegeta says, I'd like to go there sometime, but don't hold back in the tournament because I won't be. And he goes, yeah, right back at you, mate. So then they go through a test. This is something Vegeta specifically mentioned because he didn't want no complete idiots being really strong and having to kind of find a way to control them. So he basically said, you need to pass a basic test of rudimentary intelligence. Unfortunately, Goku barely passes and Boo completely fails. So they're already one down. They also actually decide the order they're going to fight. So it turns out that Goku's going first, then it's going to be Piccolo, then it's going to be Vegeta, and Monaco, the supposedly strongest character, is going to go last. The first person to go in from Universe 6 is a character called Potamo, and he is basically the polar bear looking dude. So the way the matchup initially starts, it looks like Goku's struggling a little bit because Potamo's faster than he looks. It turns out Goku's a bit sluggish because he was he was basically eating loads before the fight, and because of that he's a bit sluggish. So he goes, let me just work this off. So he starts running around the ring pretty much, getting exercise in, and Patamo's getting tired at the same time. It gets to a point where Patamo starts struggling, and then Whis' sister and Champa basically say that this is where the real fight starts. This is where he's going to show his ability. So that's all we get to see so far between 1 and 8. This is point 5. This is where it all really starts. I wanted to get this out there before chapter 9 comes out next month. I'm sure we're going to cover this in the anime, which I will be doing a review at that point. But that's all from me today, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. See you later.